No, it doesn't matter actually because I would be showing up your slides. You might want to share the slides.
Okay. So then I'll stop the video and share my screen, right? Hello. What happened? I lost it.
I'm just starting now. Hello and welcome to you all. My name is Vishal and this is our cohort for strategy compass. So what we do in this cohort is we study industry best practices as far as it's concerned with the business balance or scorecard, how your strategy should be working. Give me just one more moment. Let me just see if our social media on LinkedIn we are on live. Okay, so we are working fine everywhere. And we had 2 live sessions so far, and the remaining sessions for the last 2 Sundays were recorded ones. And what we have learned so far is about what is the importance of a strategy, what are the pitfalls of over planning, for that matter, and so on and so forth. So we have been looking at all those things in a very detailed manner, and our mentor for I'm getting
Hello.
a message, can't hear, give me just a bit. All those things in a very detailed I got a feedback from somebody that can't hear, but I'm very audible on the give me just one moment. It seems fine here. Okay, it works. It's working very fine for us here. Let me just check everything else again. Because as far as I'm concerned, all the give me just a bit. Because as far as I'm concerned, all the something is not fine with with the Zoom. So bear with me for a minute. So what I've been doing is in the strategy. What we have been doing in the strategy process. I think you will be able to hear us on Zoom now. And what we have been doing in this session is we are reading about strategy, how a strategy is important for an organization. It becomes a roadmap for the organization to achieve their bigger goals. Now, a bigger goal of an organization cannot be achieved overnight, correct? It needs effort, time, and a lot of planning. And of course, you need to keep monitoring as well that is our effort working at all or not. So, to as a scorecard, or for that matter, as a as a way of knowing that how are we doing on our strategy, there is something called linked with it, which is called balance scorecard. And we have our mentor, Mr. Gopal. He just launched his book now. It's called Mastering Strategy Excellence. If you would see that, we will share the book details on the during our session as well, and of course he will perhaps will read some excerpts out of the book itself. So I just want to see. Let me just check if Mr. Gopal is there. He is our mentor on the balance scorecard and of course business strategy. So I will just take you to the okay. So I will. He just confirms that he is able to see the overall thing now. And this is his book. Now, if you can see on my screen now, I've already changed it to okay. So you can see on my screen, the book is live at the moment. The book was launched last week, perhaps. Yeah, 30th of November. And congratulations to you, Mr. Gopal, for your book launch. I believe you can hear me. You can talk now.
Yes, thank you very much. This book was in the making for almost like 8 months. I've been working on that. And just 2 days back, I launched the book. It is launched on LinkedIn, of course, and the publisher's website called Notion Press in India. And this book is available for sale right now only in India. That's Amazon.in and the publisher's website, notionpress.com. But within a few days, I think probably in 1 week's time, it should be available on Amazon.com for an international purchase. And in India, it is released in hardcover, but on international prints will be available in paperback. And within 1 week, we will also have the digital prints so that people can buy, and that will be, of course, a bit cheaper, and they can read it on Kobo and Kindle and all other platforms.
Well, that's wonderful, sir. Congratulations. It's not easy to bring out all those knowledge into some 600 odd pages. These are, how many pages are there, sir?
No. I try to make it very simple and not too much of theory. It's practical so that people can read and make use of it. It's around 280 pages. Of course, I am planning for another book which will have some more stuff. But this is, it's for the beginners and practitioners, I would say, so that they are able to understand, they are able to implement whatever I'm sharing with them.
Okay, wonderful. Congratulations, sir. Culminating all the information and gleaning all the knowledge. Knowledge can be attained from the books, but the experience that you had across the industries, not only by practicing them but also getting implemented them and monitoring them, it's not that easy to put them and make them so concise in 270 pages. It's a remarkable feat that you have achieved, sir. Congratulations again.
Now, thank you very much. And one more thing, just wanted to let everybody know, it has got almost 70-80 pages of appendices, which includes samples, samples of balance scorecard. It includes the samples of the strategy maps. It also includes important KPIs, almost 150 KPIs, which are defined, which are commonly used for measuring the performance of an organization, and these can be used as measurement system for the balanced scorecard which you're developing.
Okay.
So that's going to be very useful for the readers.
So that's wonderful, sir. Because when you talked about appendices, it reminded me of, for some reason, reminded me of the NFPA codes and standards, which also have a lot of appendices, because to justify or to perhaps clarify their information and to make sure that people are following standards, they have a lot of appendices. And it's very important that when it comes to the information in the appendices, people will be able to visualize it. Once you're able to visualize it, of course, the implementation becomes even more easier for that matter. So, would you want to take away and maybe read one of these chapter or section of your book? It's all up to you. It's the how do you want to do it, or you want to straight away dig into the our session?
I can read something from the book, but then it will be like just kind of a snapshot. It's not kind of a summary, but I will try to do it. Let's first do the session, what we are planning for today. And then probably I'll open the book. I haven't opened and I'm not ready right now for reading the book. So if time permits, then we will do it. Otherwise, of course, you can read it on LinkedIn, the brief, what it is and what all it includes. You can also read on Amazon.in. There are some few chapters are included as free read also.
Okay, fair enough. We are live now. You can we are sharing your slides, sir, and we can go into the. We can start our session then. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Okay, so good morning, everybody. And if you recall, I think many of you have attended the previous two sessions. So we just discussed about the challenges and the problems faced by businesses and how these things can be resolved. And I took one practical example of a small restaurant where we looked at how that restaurant can develop a strategy with logical thinking and implement a kind of a strategy and the measurement system to track the performance. So we will take it from there now, and then we will be looking at some more details that how the business strategy can be developed and what it takes to have the right kind of a strategy for depending on the business you are operating or the organization you're working with. Okay, so this is, of course, Vishal has already spoken about. So this is a book. Right now, people in India, they can avail a 15% discount as a launch offer. This is available only on the Notion Press website. And Amazon.in, of course, you can buy at a normal price because I cannot set any discount there. So Amazon, they have their own that incentivizing or purchases. You can also visit our YouTube channel. I have put few videos, whatever we have discussed so far, and plus some more. So almost like 6-7 videos are there. So you can also watch these videos, which will give you further information, or maybe it can refresh your memory and you can reinforce your learning. So this is called a strategy compass, right? Okay, so let's move forward. Now we will be going into some more details how this strategy is developed. So implementing balanced scorecard. Implementing balanced scorecard requires you to first have this strategy. So once you decide on this strategy, you define your strategy, then only you can implement a balanced scorecard. So First, we will focus on strategy development. And this is a very famous quote from Stephen Covey. He says that people and their managers are working so hard to be sure that things are done right, that they hardly have time to decide if they are doing the right things. So things done right is operations, and doing the right things is the strategy. So you need to have the right strategy before you focus on quality or doing the things in the right way. So this is very, very important, that you need to have what you want to really do and do the right things. Then only you can focus on quality or doing the right things. So this is something you need to keep in mind, that whether you are, whatever you are doing, are the things right? They are right in line with your strategy and your goals which you want to achieve. Okay, so what is the strategy? Quickly, I will try to go through quickly. You can ask any question. I'm not able to see the screen. Of course, Vishal will be able to let me know if anybody has any question, so I can answer. A strategy is actually an integrated set of choices that position a firm in an industry to earn a superior returns over a long time, right? So strategy, right strategy, it gives you a strategic advantage comparing to your competitors in any industry. So having the right strategy is very, very important. And if you look at the survey findings, which are not very recent, but in the early 20s, the surveys were done. So according to the survey of Bain Management Tools and McKinsey, 88% of the organization claim to conduct a formal strategy planning and enjoy highest user satisfaction. But 45% of the respondents were satisfied with the strategy planning process. Right? They were not very happy. Almost like 55% were not happy. And only 23% said that major decisions were made with its confines. So 23% of the organizations or the people, they agreed that some decisions, major decisions, are based on our strategy. They develop the strategy, but then they forget about it. So the vigor is required in implementing the strategy. Once you develop the strategy, it is very, very important that you follow through, you implement it in totality. Then only your strategy can be successful. So what is a good strategy? So the test of good strategy is it needs to be consistent. And consistent in what sense? It needs to be consistent externally. Externally means it should be consistent with the external environment or the business environment you're operating in. So if you are in a particular country, in a particular segment, then your strategy should be consistent and aligned with that country and with that segment. And the external environment, that's the business environment, your competition, what are the geographical constraints are there, what are the economical constraints, local regulations, laws. So that needs to be taken care when we are talking about external consistency. Internal consistency, sorry?
Basically, we're talking about the pestle analysis.
Yes, we are talking about pestle analysis. So pestle analysis, just quickly, because of course we'll be covering it, is political, economical, social, technological, environmental, and legal aspects of doing the business in a particular territory or country. So we call this as a pestle analysis, and each of these factors need to be taken into consideration, and based on that, you need to develop your strategy. Thank you, Vishal. The second one is, of course, internal consistency. You should take into consideration your capabilities, your advantages, disadvantages you have vis-a-vis your competitors. Because if you need to beat the competition, you need to be better than them. So for that, whether you are really good or better than them, you need to do the internal analysis, knowing your strengths and weaknesses. So this brings to another framework, which is called SWOT analysis, which is very common. So within SWOT, SWs, strength and weaknesses, are found out doing the internal analysis, and those strengths and weaknesses are taken into consideration when you're developing your strategy. So if you have strengths, you should be able to encash them, make use of them. And if you have certain weaknesses, then you need to address them as part of your strategy implementation process, right? And the third important test is dynamic consistency. Dynamic consistency means your strategy needs to be dynamically managed, and you should be able to make changes depending on the changes in the external environment. So that is why it's called dynamic consistency. So based on external factors, if there are changes in major regulations, for example, in the territory you are operating, then you should be able to change your strategy or modify your strategy based on the changes in the external environment. All right. So developing a strategy actually requires four major steps, let's put it this way, right? So first of all, it is important that you need to develop your mission, vision, and values for your organization. And probably we will be looking at mission, vision, and values in subsequent episodes. Vision is what you want to achieve in, let's say, 3 to 10 years of time. So that is your big goal, what you want to achieve. It's not annual goal, or it is not annual planning. You're talking about at least 3 to 10 years of time, what you want to become. Right? Mission is called as the purpose of your organization. What is your purpose? Why this business exists? So it is, mission is typically looking at the problems you're trying to solve for your customers. Right? So it is not defined as a kind of a destination statement, but it is defined as a purpose statement. Why do you exist? Right? And values are, they define your culture, that what is something you will do or you will not do in order to achieve your vision and mission. So values are something which you will not compromise on, right? So let's say honesty is your value. So you will do all your activities, all your business activities honestly. You will not cheat, right? Okay. Same way, let's say you have focus on your customers. So customer centricity is your value. In that case, whatever you do, you will take customers' requirements first and make sure that your customer is happy, irrespective of how much it costs you, irrespective of whether you are able to really make a big business or you are only confined to a small group of customers. Okay, so this is mission, vision, values. Very quickly, briefly, I've told you. Then what you do is, first thing is you do the strategic analysis, what we were talking about. So it includes external and internal environment analysis. And based on that, you identify the key issues, doing a SWOT analysis. In SWOT, strengths and weaknesses we spoke about, and OT is for opportunities and threats. So opportunities and threats come from the external environment. So your major competitors can be your threats. Opportunities, maybe the economic conditions are improving in the territory you are operating and you have some major opportunities, right? So those are called opportunities and threats. So you need to take those into consideration. Opportunities, you should be able to encash them through your strategy, and threats, you should be able to address them and deal with them. So based on external environment analysis and internal analysis, you do the strategy formulation. So 4 key questions you need to answer: that where you're going to compete, which market segment, which territory you are going to compete. That's very, very important. You cannot compete everywhere. So you need to define where you want to operate and where you want to compete. Then
Okay,
how you're
just
going to do it. Sorry.
just a reminder to everybody, we are into last 5 minutes of our session now. You can post in your questions. People who are on Zoom, they can simply unmute themselves and talk. People who are on YouTube and LinkedIn, they can type into the chat box whatever questions they have. The last 5 minutes of the session, we are into the last 5 minutes of the session.
All right. So I think probably we will stop at this point. This gives an overview, and then we will continue next week from there. Okay. So then once you do the strategic analysis based on whatever your findings are, you need to formulate your strategy. And the first question is where you're going to compete, what is going to be your territory, or let's say battlefield, if you take analogy from war, right? And then you are going to define how you're going to deal with your competition, and that will lead to your developing your value proposition, that what value you're going to give to your customer, which will be actually different and superior than your competition. If you want to beat the competition, your value proposition should be better than your competitor, and that also will lead to differentiation. The customer will be able to differentiate between you and your competitors. Once you do that, the question comes how you're going to do it, right? So you will develop your game plan, how you're going to do it. And based on that, how will you make better profit? And that brings down to financial model. So how I will make profit. So that is what the final thing is. Ultimately, the goal of any business is to make profits for the owners, right? So this is a strategy formulation. And then you do the value gap analysis, that if there are certain things which are missing from your value proposition, where you need to work on. So you identify the gaps in your current and desired performance, and then you decompose it and excuse me. And then you define your components of a strategy. Okay, I'm going to focus on these key segments. I'm not going to focus everywhere. So then with a focused strategy, I'm going to attract these customers, let's say. So this is how you actually do the value gap. And then you will be improving your profits. For example, second strategy by having more efficient operations. And finally, it's implementing that strategy. So the implementation requires, of course, certain actions you need to take if you have some gaps in your offering and in your capabilities. You need to measure the progress, and then you need to define regular reviews and planning cycles, because you need to review your performance, take the corrective and preventive measures, and plan new things in case there are changes in the external environment. So this is overall what we are talking about, developing and implementing the strategy. And the whole book is about this, using the balances scorecard. We will be going through these in more detail in subsequent sessions probably. And I'll stop it here, Vishal, in case we have the time.
Yeah, just let me have a look at the our platforms. If there are any questions coming through, give me just a bit. So as of now, we don't have any questions. But I can make few. What I can do is as of now we don't have any questions. But I can make few. What I can do. My bad. That was the loop from the YouTube.
Okay.
You need to keep monitoring all these places. So now it comes to a question at times. We talk about strategy and all in a fast moving organization, which is having a running operation, implementing strategy, and or in other words, let me put it this way: there is an organization that is already working in a certain way. They don't have a strategy. The overall strategy is to win the project. That's it, or win the order. In other words, these kind of organizations, which are literally a fish market, they work like fish markets. How will they transition themselves into an organization which is more goal driven, more strategically driven? Because the ecosystem of the organization, and they're getting success for a very long time. What is the motivation factors? What changes the leadership needs to make to get into the groove of doing a strategic change, rather than continue doing the fish market kind of business where let's put it this way, that you have 200 quotations that you're doing, or 200 projects in the pestle environment that we're talking about, and out of those 200, we bid for 100, and the sales would always keep looking to bid all the 200, but they don't have those resources to do so. And since they are working in an environment, let me put it in a very raw way, I'm sorry to use this word, but they're working in a fish market way and a taxi driver way, that the more the merrier, the more the quotations are out there for me, the better it is for me. What kind of commitment does it require from the management and from the leadership team to get into the groove of strategy and then keep monitoring their progress?
Okay. The thing is, unless you taste it, you don't know what efficient operations are. Okay, so that's a tricky question, and it's not very easy to convince any organization that there is a better way of doing things, because they don't know what they are missing out. Okay. If they're not tracking performance end of the year or end of, let's say, 2 years, they will not know how much money they could have made through efficient operations. They are happy with what they are making. In that case, only God can help them. So, because convincing them that you are missing out on something, it's not very easy. But people who know that, but if they allow us, like I have done it with organization, if they allow us, I can show them, maybe I can do some kind of a pilot study for them, and then try to find out what they are missing actually. And sometimes it's an eye opener. And in many organizations, I found it. So unless you highlight that what they are missing and what they are going to gain, if they go through the streamlined process of strategy development and implementation, it's very, very difficult. So what actually is required is, at the initial stage, you need to educate them. So the 50% of time, the selling is educating them.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So I was just looking over to the we don't have any questions coming in from the any of the chat box. I think if you want to make any closing remarks, we can do that now, and then we can take leave up until the next session.
All right. Okay. So it's only what I would say is it's developing and implementing a strategy is critical for organization. A small organization can survive. Let's say if it's a single owner and a small operations, probably it can survive. But then end of the day, the business is missing out on the opportunities. But if a business is looking for growth, then you need to have a streamlined strategy, planning, and execution capabilities. I'm not saying it's need to be only what I'm suggesting as balances scorecard. There are other frameworks which are available. At least the planning is required, monitoring and course correction is definitely required for any business to move forward and make progress if you have some kind of objectives, long-term objectives. So with that, I will leave it. And as we go through these sessions, you will realize that it's very, very important to have this kind of understanding of the business, developing the strategy based on the market knowledge and competitive knowledge, and then implement this right strategies and tracking progress on that strategies is very critical.
Okay, with that, we take a leave for today. Up until next session, keep strategizing and keep educating yourself. Thank you for joining in today. See you next week. Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you, Vishal. Okay.